Hey there, friend. Have you ever found yourself worrying about those little aches in your knees or hips, wondering if your bones are as strong as they used to be? Maybe you've noticed you're not bouncing back from a long walk or a day in the garden quite like you did a few years ago. It's something so many of us think about as we get older, isn't it? Our bones. They've carried us through decades of adventures, from chasing kids around the backyard to dancing at weddings or hiking up that one trail with the gorgeous view. But here's the good news. You can keep those bones strong and sturdy, and it doesn't take a complete overhaul of your life to do it. In fact, something as simple as what you put on your plate can make a world of difference. Today, I want to talk about a key player in keeping your bones healthy: vitamin D. You've probably heard about it before, maybe from your doctor or one of those health magazines at the grocery store. But let's get real for a moment. Vitamin D isn't just some buzzword. It's like a superhero for your bones, helping your body soak up calcium so your skeleton stays tough, even as the years roll by. And for those of us over 60, it's extra important because our bodies don't make or absorb vitamin D as easily as they used to. Low vitamin D can leave your bones feeling brittle, and nobody wants to deal with that, right? Fractures, falls, or just feeling fragile. They're not part of the vibrant life you're living or planning to live. So, in this video, we're going to dive into 3 vitamin D-rich foods that are easy to find, simple to add to your meals, and honestly, pretty darn tasty. These aren't exotic ingredients you need to hunt down at a specialty store. They're things you might already have in your kitchen or can grab on your next grocery run. My goal is to make this practical because I know you're busy living your life, whether that's spending time with grandkids, tending to your garden, or finally tackling that hobby you've always wanted to try. By the end of our chat, you'll have a few new ideas to keep your bones strong and your body ready for whatever you want to do next. Sound good? Let's get started with our first food. Now, I don't know about you, but I love a good breakfast. There's something about starting the day with a warm meal that just sets the tone, right? So, let's talk about eggs, specifically egg yolks. Those golden centers aren't just for making your scrambled eggs creamy. They're a fantastic source of vitamin D. I can almost hear someone saying, "Wait, I thought eggs were all about protein." And you're not wrong, eggs are a protein powerhouse. But those yolks are where the vitamin D magic happens. One large egg yolk gives you about 10% of the vitamin D you need for the day, which might not sound like a ton, but hear me out. It adds up, especially when you pair eggs with other smart choices. Think about how easy eggs are to work into your routine. Maybe you're whipping up a couple of sunny side-up eggs for breakfast with a side of toast and some fruit. Or, if you're more of a meal prep person, you could make a big batch of egg salad for lunches during the week. I know a friend who swears by her egg salad sandwiches. She adds a little mustard and some chopped celery for crunch, and it's her go-to when she's on the move. And here's a fun idea. Have you ever tried a veggie-packed omelet for dinner? Throw in some spinach, tomatoes, maybe a sprinkle of cheese, and you've got a meal that's quick, affordable, and good for your bones. Now, I want to pause for a second because I know some folks worry about eggs and cholesterol. It's a fair concern. We've all heard the warnings over the years. But here's the deal. For most people, eating eggs in moderation, like 1 or 2 a day, isn't going to hurt your heart. In fact, studies keep showing that eggs are a nutrient-packed food, and the cholesterol in them doesn't impact your blood cholesterol as much as we used to think. Of course, if you've got specific health concerns like diabetes or heart disease, it's always smart to check with your doctor. But for most of us, eggs are a safe, delicious way to get that vitamin D boost. Let's make it practical. Say you're aiming for 2 eggs in the morning. That's already a nice chunk of vitamin D before you've even finished your coffee. If you're not a big cook, no worries. Hard-boiled eggs are your friend. Boil a half dozen at the start of the week, keep them in the fridge, and grab one for a snack or toss it into a salad. My neighbor Joan keeps a little bowl of hard-boiled eggs in her fridge, and she says it's her secret weapon for staying full between bridge games. Plus, eggs are cheap. When was the last time you found a superfood that didn't break the bank? So whether you're scrambling, boiling, or tossing them into a frittata for a family brunch, eggs are a no-fuss way to give your bones some love. Speaking of love, let's move on to our second food, because this one's a classic that I bet brings back some memories: salmon. Oh, salmon is like the comfort food of the sea, isn't it? Whether you're picturing a fancy grilled fillet or a cozy salmon casserole like the one your mom used to make, This fish is a vitamin D rockstar. A small 3-ounce serving of cooked salmon can give you nearly 100% of the vitamin D you need in a day. That's huge. And it's not just about the vitamin D. Salmon's got omega-3 fatty acids, which are great for your heart, your brain, and even keeping those joints moving smoothly. I know what you might be thinking. Salmon sounds great, but isn't it expensive? And I hear you, fresh salmon can be a bit of a splurge sometimes. But here's the thing. You don't need to eat it every day to get the benefits. Even having salmon once or twice a week can make a big difference for your bones. And if fresh salmon's not in the budget, canned salmon is your best friend. It's just as packed with vitamin D, it's way more affordable, and it's got a long shelf life, so you can stock up when it's on sale. Plus, canned salmon comes with those soft, edible bones that are loaded with calcium. Talk about a 2-for-1 deal for your skeleton. Let's talk about how to make salmon work for you. If you're grilling or baking fresh salmon, it's as simple as popping it in the oven with a little lemon, garlic, and maybe some herbs. It takes less than 20 minutes, and you've got a meal that feels like a treat. My brother-in-law, Tom, he's 68 and not exactly a chef, but he's mastered this one salmon recipe he found online. Says it makes him feel like he's eating at a restaurant without leaving the house. If canned salmon's more your speed, try mixing it into a salad with some mayo, a splash of vinegar, and whatever veggies you've got on hand. Or make salmon patties. My grandma used to make those with a side of mashed potatoes, and I swear I can still taste them just thinking about it. Here's a little story for you. I was chatting with a friend the other day, and she told me how she started eating more salmon after her doctor warned her about low vitamin D. She was skeptical at first. She wasn't a big fish person, but she started small, adding canned salmon to her lunch rotation. A few months later, she said she felt stronger, like she could trust her body a bit more when she was out walking her dog. It's not like salmon's a magic pill, but it's amazing how these little changes add up, isn't it? And salmon's so versatile. You can dress it up for a holiday dinner or keep it simple for a Tuesday night. Either way, your bones are going to thank you. Now, I know we're talking about food here, but I want to throw in a quick tip that pairs perfectly with these vitamin D-rich eats. Getting a little sunshine helps your body make its own vitamin D, so if you can, try to spend 10 or 15 minutes outside a few times a week. Maybe it's sipping your morning coffee on the porch or taking a short walk around the block. Nothing intense, just enough to let the sun work its magic. Combine that with foods like eggs and salmon, and you're giving your bones a double dose of strength. It's like teamwork between your plate and the great outdoors. We've covered some great ground so far, haven't we? Eggs and salmon are such easy, delicious ways to boost your vitamin D and keep your bones in fighting shape. But there's one more food I'm excited to share with you. And it's a bit of a surprise because it's not something you might think of right away when you hear vitamin D. It's versatile. It's probably already in your grocery store, and it's going to add a whole new layer to how you think about your meals. Let's dive into that next. So, here we are, talking about keeping those bones strong with foods that pack a vitamin D punch, and I'm really excited to share this next one with you. It's kind of like that moment when you find a new favorite song. It's been there all along, but suddenly, you can't get enough of it. Let's dive into our third food, mushrooms. Yup, those humble little fungi you might toss into a stir-fry or soup. But not just any mushrooms, ones that have been exposed to sunlight or UV light, like maytake or chanterelle, or even the common cremini you see at the store. These guys can be loaded with vitamin D, and they're such an easy way to sneak some bone-loving goodness into your day. Now, I know mushrooms might not sound as glamorous as salmon or as classic as eggs, but hear me out. They're like the unsung heroes of the kitchen. When mushrooms are grown in sunlight or treated with UV light, they soak up vitamin D just like our skin does when we're out in the sun. A cup of UV-exposed maytake mushrooms, for example, can give you more vitamin D than you need in a whole day. That's wild, right? And even if you're not eating a whole cup, just adding a handful to your meals can make a real difference. Plus, mushrooms are low in calories, high in flavor, and they bring this earthy, cozy vibe to whatever you're cooking. Let's talk about how to make mushrooms part of your life. Because I know not everyone's a mushroom fan right off the bat. If you're already a pro, maybe you're sautéing them with a little butter and garlic to go with your steak. Oh, that's good stuff. But if mushrooms feel new or you're not sure where to start, keep it simple. Slice up some cremini or button mushrooms, toss them into a pan with a splash of olive oil, and let them cook until they're golden. sprinkle in a pinch of salt, and you've got a side dish that's ready in minutes. My friend Carol, she's 72 and always on the go, swears by her mushroom scramble. She adds them to her eggs in the morning and says it keeps her full until lunch. Here's another idea. Mushrooms love to play nice with other foods. Ever tried chopping them up and mixing them into a pasta sauce? They blend right in with the tomatoes and herbs, and you're sneaking in that vitamin D without even thinking about it. Or, if you're feeling a bit fancy, stuff some big portobello mushrooms with a mix of breadcrumbs, cheese, and maybe some spinach. Pop them in the oven, and you've got a meal that looks like you spent hours on it. I did that for a family dinner last month, and my sister-in-law, who's usually picky about veggies, asked for seconds. That's a win in my book. Now, I want to be real with you for a second. Mushrooms aren't going to give you vitamin D unless they've been grown or treated the right way, so here's a quick tip. Check the label when you're at the store. Some brands will say high in vitamin D or mention UV exposure. It's not always there, but it's worth a glance. If you can't find those, don't sweat it. Even regular mushrooms are still good for you, with fiber and antioxidants, and you're already getting vitamin D from things like eggs and salmon, right? It's all about building a plate that works together to keep you strong. Speaking of working together, let's zoom out for a moment. One thing I love about these foods, eggs, salmon, mushrooms, is how they fit into real life. You don't need to be a gourmet chef or spend hours in the kitchen. Maybe you're someone who loves cooking and experimenting with new recipes. Or maybe you're more like my Uncle Dave, who's 67 and says his cooking style is whatever's fastest. Either way, these foods meet you where you're at. They're flexible, they're forgiving, and they're all about helping you feel good in your body. Let's make it even more practical. Picture your week. Maybe Monday you're having an egg and veggie scramble for breakfast. Wednesday you're enjoying a salmon salad for lunch. And Friday you're tossing some mushrooms into a cozy soup for dinner. That's 3 meals, 3 different ways to get your vitamin D, and none of them feel like a chore. And here's the thing. When you start eating this way, it's not just your bones that benefit. Vitamin D helps your muscles stay strong, too, so you're steadier on your feet. It even gives your immune system a little boost, which we all appreciate, especially when everyone around us seems to be sniffling. I want to share a quick story, because I think it'll hit home. I was talking to my neighbor, Margaret. She's 69, loves her book club, and stays active with her daily walks. A while back, she started feeling a bit off, like her energy was dipping, and her doctor checked her vitamin D levels. Turns out, they were lower than they should be. Nothing scary, but enough to make her take notice. So, she started small, adding things like canned salmon to her lunches and throwing mushrooms into her dinners a couple times a week. She told me the other day that she feels like she's got her spark back, like she can keep up with her grandkids without worrying about every step she takes. It's not like she's running marathons, but that little shift made her feel more like herself. Isn't that what we all want? Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on something that ties all this together. Eating for stronger bones isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. You don't have to eat eggs every single morning or salmon every night. Life's too full for that, and honestly, food should be a joy, not a rule book. The beauty of these foods is that they give you options. Maybe one week you're all about mushrooms because you found a great deal at the market. Another week, you're leaning on eggs because you're short on time. It's about finding what works for you and your rhythm. And here's a little nudge. Don't be afraid to mix things up. Try combining these foods in fun ways, like a salmon and mushroom stir-fry or an omelet with a side of sautéed cremini. Food's a chance to get creative, and at this stage of life, why not have a little fun with it? I remember my dad, who's 74 now, telling me he started cooking more after he retired. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He said it's like a small adventure every day, figuring out what's in the fridge and how to make it taste good. That's the spirit I'm talking about. So, there you have it. 3 vitamin D-rich foods to keep your bones strong and your body ready for whatever's next. Eggs, salmon, mushrooms. They're simple, they're delicious, and they're here to help you live your life to the fullest. I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite way to enjoy these foods? Maybe you've got a killer salmon recipe or a mushroom dish that's a hit at your table. Drop it in the comments below, because we're all in this together, and sharing ideas is half the fun. If you found this helpful, give the video a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more folks who want to stay strong and healthy. And if you want more tips like this, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a thing. Here's to feeling great, moving with confidence, and enjoying every single day. I'll catch you soon. All right, friend. We've been chatting about how to keep your bones strong with some vitamin D-rich foods, and I hope you're feeling inspired to try a few new things in the kitchen. We've covered eggs, salmon, and mushrooms. 3 foods that are like little gifts to your body, helping your bones stay sturdy so you can keep doing all the things you love, whether that's playing with your grandkids, tending to your flowers, or just enjoying a good walk without worry. Now, let's keep the conversation going and dive a bit deeper because there's more to share about making these foods work for you and why they're such a game changer as we get older. Let's start by circling back to eggs for a moment, because there's something so comforting about their versatility, don't you think? I was thinking about how eggs aren't just a breakfast food. They're like that reliable friend who shows up whenever you need them. Take dinner, for example. Sometimes you get home, and the last thing you want is to spend an hour cooking, right? That's when eggs shine. Picture this. You've got a few leftover veggies in the fridge, maybe some bell peppers or zucchini, and you whisk up a quick frittata. It's just eggs, those veggies, maybe a sprinkle of cheese if you're feeling indulgent, and in 20 minutes, you've got a meal that's light but satisfying. My cousin Linda, she's 65 and always juggling a million things, says her go-to is a frittata when she's too tired to think. She cuts it into wedges and has leftovers for lunch the next day. That's the kind of easy win that makes eating for your bones feel effortless. And here's a little tip to make eggs even more fun. Experiment with spices. A dash of paprika or a pinch of turmeric can wake up those flavors, and turmeric's got some anti-inflammatory perks, which is a nice bonus for your joints. I tried this the other week. Scrambled eggs with a bit of turmeric and black pepper, and it was like a sunny little hug on my plate. The point is, eggs are a canvas. You can keep them simple or dress them up, and every bite's helping your body soak up that vitamin D to keep your skeleton strong. It's like you're giving your bones a high five with every forkful. Now, let's shift gears to salmon, because I can't get over how much this fish brings to the table, literally. I was chatting with a friend the other day, and she mentioned how salmon feels like a treat, like something you'd order at a nice restaurant. But here's the secret. It's so easy to make at home, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune. I know we talked about canned salmon before, but let's say you're in the mood for fresh or frozen salmon fillets. You don't need to be a chef to nail it. One of my favorite ways is to bake it with a simple glaze. Mix a little honey, mustard, and a splash of soy sauce, spread it on the salmon, and pop it in the oven. It's sweet, it's savory, and it feels like you're treating yourself without any fuss. My husband tried it last Sunday, and he's still talking about how good it was. If you're watching your budget, and who isn't these days, frozen salmon is a great option. It's often cheaper than fresh, and it's frozen at its peak, so you're not losing out on nutrients. I know a lady at my community center, Ruth, who's 70 and loves her frozen salmon. She buys it in bulk when it's on sale, and she'll thaw a piece for dinner maybe once a week. She told me it's her way of feeling fancy without breaking the bank, and I love that. Plus, every time she eats it, she's loading up on that vitamin D, which is like insurance for her bones. It's such a small thing, but it adds up to feeling stronger, steadier, and ready for whatever's on her calendar. Let's talk about one more way to enjoy salmon, because I think this'll spark some ideas. Have you ever tried salmon in a wrap or taco? It's so quick, and it's perfect for lunch. Flake some cooked salmon, or even canned salmon, into a tortilla. Add some lettuce, a dollop of yogurt or avocado for creaminess, and you've got a meal that's fresh and filling. I did this for a picnic with my grandkids last summer, and they gobbled it up before I could even sit down. It's moments like that, when you're sharing good food and making memories, that remind you why taking care of your health is so worth it. Strong bones mean you can keep up with the people you love, and salmon's helping you get there. Now mushrooms. Oh, I could talk about these forever. They're so underrated, aren't they? I was at the grocery store the other day, and I saw this older gentleman eyeing the mushroom section, looking a bit unsure. I couldn't help but smile, because I've been there, standing in the produce aisle, wondering how to make something new work. So, I struck up a chat, and he said he'd heard mushrooms were good for you, but didn't know where to start. I told him what I'm going to tell you now. Start small and keep it familiar. If you like soup, toss some sliced mushrooms into your next pot of chicken noodle or veggie soup. They soak up the broth and add this rich, savory flavor that makes every spoonful feel like a warm hug. Or, if you're a fan of grilling, mushrooms are your friend. Skewer some button or cremini mushrooms with chunks of bell pepper and onion, brush them with a little olive oil, and throw them on the grill, or even a grill pan if you're cooking indoors. My neighbor Mike, he's 68, and loves his backyard barbecues, started doing this after I mentioned it. He says it's a hit with his friends, and he feels good knowing he's sneaking in some vitamin D. That's the thing about mushrooms. They don't scream health food, but they're quietly doing all this good for your bones, helping your body hold on to calcium so you can stay active and strong. Here's a quick story that I think sums it up. My Aunt Betty, who's 71, was never a big mushroom person, said they were too earthy for her. But last year, she started feeling a bit creaky, and her doctor suggested boosting her vitamin D. She didn't want supplements, so she gave mushrooms a try, starting with just a few in her spaghetti sauce. Now, she's hooked. She told me she feels steadier when she's out gardening, like her body's working with her instead of against her. It's not like mushrooms fixed everything overnight, but they're part of this bigger picture of small, doable changes that add up to a stronger you. So, let's pull it all together. Eggs, salmon, mushrooms, they're not just foods. They're tools to help you live the way you want to. Maybe you're dreaming of a trip to see your family across the country. Or maybe you just want to feel good climbing the stairs without that nagging worry about your balance. These foods are here to support you, and the best part? They're delicious. You're not choking down something you hate. You're enjoying meals that make you feel good inside and out. And isn't that what life's about at this stage? Savoring the good stuff, from the food on your plate to the moments you share with the people you care about. I'd love to hear what you think. What's your go-to way to enjoy eggs, salmon, or mushrooms? Maybe you've got a recipe that's been in your family forever, or maybe you tried something new because of this video. Drop it in the comments, because I know I'm not the only one who loves a good idea. And if you're liking these tips, give the video a quick thumbs up. It helps more folks find this kind of practical advice. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, because there's plenty more where this came from. Here's to strong bones, great meals, and living every day to the fullest. Catch you soon.